What's up, everybody? It's AJ with etrailer.com. Today we're going to be checking out these Titan chains, alloy snow tire chains on our 2021 Honda Passport. And then if you look here on your tire, you can see your tire size and make sure you get the right ones. And today we're working with tire size 245, 50, R20. Now this chain is going to be a diamond pattern, and what I mean by that is you can kind of see how it makes a diamond here on the tire, which is going to help you out when you're on your ride. And then you have this part here that's unique to it that also connects the two diamonds, and so that means there's going to be constant contact with the chain and the ground, which is going to help you out on those smoother rides. So comparing it to another type of chain that's called laddered pattern, where the chains just kind of go in a straight line across all the way down, that's going to be a little bit more of a bumpier ride because it's going to be constantly hitting that chain and kind of doing that. This is more smoother ride just because it's all over and it's always making contact with the ground. And then looking at the links, this is going to be called a square link design. So that's going to be aggressive enough to crunch into that ice and get a good grip on there, and even in the snow too. So comparing it to some other ones that I know, like the cable design, that one really doesn't grab anything. It's good for just snow and it helps you with those start and stop, but it's not going to grip into that ice like you want for this kind of chain. Now, these chains are also SAE Class S certified, which means that's good for low clearance in the vehicles. It's something actually your passport says straight up in the manual, the owner's manual, that it requires these kind of chains, and that's just because there's not a lot of room here in the wheel well and the components back here. You want to make sure that they follow those guidelines. So on the outside of the chain, you can kind of see that it's color coded, which is nice. It's also got a coating on there, that way it doesn't get, these don't get as cold as the chains that are actually making contact with the snow and ice. So that's helpful when you're going to set them up if you are in the snow and you're doing it. But you can see how it's color coded. You got the yellow chain on the outside, that way you know when you're setting this up, the yellow's got to be towards the outside. We got the green clip-in point, and then you got the red loops down here when you make these connections here, and then the channel you run through. So it's all color coded, makes it easier to see what you're doing, especially if it's maybe low light and you're putting them on when you need to, like it's emergency. That's going to help you out. It's also got a built-in tensioner, which is really awesome. I like that it's attached to the chain to get that tension on there. Some of the other ones you have to buy a separate tensioner that you'll hook in at like 5 different points and it pulls it towards the center. That's just another thing you gotta throw in the back of the car and figure out where it is when you need to put these chains on. I like that this is attached, super easy to use, get that tension on there real quick, and it's not a separate piece. Going back to the coating, it's also gonna protect the inside of your wheels. If it does make contact, if it gets pushed in there by that snow or ice, it's not just bare metal scratching that up. And it even goes for the tensioner. This is rubber here, so if that hits there, it's not gonna bother anything. The chains also come with a great carrying case, and so it's a high quality one too. Some of the other chains you get is kind of just a nylon bag that they shred through immediately. And I like that you can easily put these in here, keeps them all together, and you can find it when you need it in the back of your vehicle instead of them sprawled out, taking up all that space. Now, installing them is also really easy. It doesn't take very long, and I like that you don't have to climb under the vehicle and make an attachment down here at the bottom of the tire. Some chains work like that, where you have to kind of get under there and get around the tire, or just kind of reach around the tire and try and make that connection without seeing it. This one's not like that. It's far easier. Check out how we did it. First thing you want to do when installing the chains is just lay them out on the ground first. We're here in our shop. Just set them down. You want to inspect the chain, make sure there's no breaks or twists in the links. You know, when I first got it out, it was kind of twisted up in itself, and that's just going to make it harder when you go put it on your tire. So make sure everything's nice here. I'm looking here at the ends, making sure they're facing the right way, making sure these are flipped around to the inside, all these parts here, these loops, making sure they're facing the right way, they're in, and just making sure there's nothing's twisted up on us or even broken. You don't want to find a broken chain and try and put that on there either. We've got our yellow portion facing the front of the vehicle, so that's good. So that means we're about ready to just go ahead and get started. And what I'm going to do is grab the chain and slide it behind the tire first. So grab it like this. Just kind of run it back there. You saw the gap in the chain in the center, so that's going to go around the tire. Once it goes around, I can bring it up to the top on the back side. I'll move my hand so you can see what I'm doing. We'll make this connection right here. This slides into that channel and pull back. Now it's locked in. Then we can drape our chains over the front of the tire. And this is what I'm talking about, making sure it's not all twisted up on you, because you don't want to get here and find it's messed up. So we just got a little bit on itself, but that's okay. Got the self tensioner, there we go. That was what's caught up a little bit. You just gotta make sure you bring it to the front of the tire, because we're gonna make a connection at the front to help hold it up there. So we got our green hook. We're gonna attach our yellow chain there and make sure it sits on the tire side of things, so then I can let it drop back on the back side a little bit more. That way it gets back in its position. We're looking pretty good. So then come here at the bottom. As I adjust it, you're just gonna be constantly adjusting it to make sure it sits right on the tire. And that looks about good right there. So now we can do the self-tensioner. You can run this through the red portion there. And you can see there's a notch. So when I get it as tight as I can pull up that chain into that notch to get it tightened here, like that. See how it goes in there? And I can run it through these red loops to get a little more tension on it. It's nice that this is built in, because some of the other ones that don't have this, you have to buy a tensioner separate, and I like everything all in one place. So now I can stretch it out. We're gonna go here, because I'll get a little stretch on there. That'll get some tension, and you can see how nice and tight it is on the tire. And you might saw how loose it was when I was first getting on there, and we fixed that by just coming up a couple links here on the chain, getting it tighter on the tire, and then when I used the built-in tensioner, that made it even tighter to the tire. You can see right now, it's a far better fit, and it's easy just to get that adjustment made, and it's pretty easy to get them installed on your vehicle. That way, it makes it a better time when you're driving in the snow. Well, thanks for hanging out, and I hope this helped.